Jamal Warner, best known and beloved for his groundbreaking role.
Malcolm Jamal Warner, the name that once lit up living rooms across America, suddenly gone, leaving Hollywood in total shock. On July 20th, 2025, headlines shattered the calm. Warner, forever remembered as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, had died in a tragic drowning accident in Costa Rica. But the heartbreak didn't end there. The real storm came after the funeral. A secret archive Warner had kept locked away for years was suddenly opened, and what it revealed left family, friends, and fans absolutely shaken. Inside were priceless treasures from his life. Never-before-seen family photos, raw handwritten letters dripping with emotion, and career tokens that had never seen the public eye. But hidden between these keepsakes were cryptic hints, clues pointing to a life far deeper, far more complicated than the polished Hollywood image we thought we knew. And the most jaw-dropping part, that bombshell waits for you at the very end of this story. From the rough streets of Jersey City to the bright lights of American stardom, Warner's secret archive painted a picture of a man not just chasing fame, but desperately searching for truth and meaning at every step. Among the warm family portraits and nostalgic stage relics were fragments of his extraordinary path, his childhood, his roots, his rise. Malcolm Jamal Warner's journey began on August 18, 1970 in Jersey City, New Jersey, a time when America itself,
even before my wife,
was being rocked by cultural revolutions and social unrest. Even his very name carried legacy and fire. Malcolm, honoring Malcolm X, the fearless civil rights icon, and Jamal, inspired by Ahmad Jamal, the world-famous jazz pianist. From the second he took his first breath, destiny was already whispering his name. His mother, Pamela Warner, carried heavy dreams on her shoulders and placed them directly onto her son. She wanted him strong but tender, disciplined yet artistic, and Malcolm lived up to every part of that vision. Growing up in a modest home, his childhood wasn't cushioned with luxury. His parents split early, and Pamela raised him alone, not just as his mother, but as his backbone, protector, and first manager. She spotted the spark in him before anyone else did. By just 7 or 8 years old, Malcolm was already standing in front of the mirror, acting out TV characters word for word, nailing every gesture like he was born for the screen. Pamela wasted no time. She threw him into acting classes, then later got him into the professional children's school in New York, the training ground for kids destined for stardom. By 1979, while other kids were stressing over homework, Malcolm was stepping onto real stages. At only 9 years old, he was booking gigs, children's theater productions, national commercials, and mastering the camera with precision. His eyes, his expressions, his voice, he turned every moment into pure performance. Those skills became his secret weapon when Hollywood finally came knocking. Then came 1984, the year that flipped his world upside down forever. NBC was on the hunt for fresh faces for a brand new sitcom, The Cosby Show. The role, Theo Huxtable, the smart, lovable, sometimes clumsy eldest son. Over 200 teenagers from across the country battled for it. But 13-year-old Malcolm walked in, stole the spotlight, and crushed the competition. That win didn't just change his life, it burned his face into the history of American pop culture. From its very first season, The Cosby Show wasn't just a hit, it was a phenomenon, topping Nielsen charts and rewriting TV history. Malcolm was instantly crowned America's eldest son, a role that glued him to millions of living rooms every week. By 1986, barely 16, he had already snatched an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series, a mind-blowing achievement for a teenager still juggling homework with a brutal 39-week filming schedule. The pressure could have crushed him, but instead it lit up another fire inside him: music. While cameras demanded smiles and scripts, Malcolm found escape in sound. He picked up the bass guitar and fell headfirst into the world of jazz, funk, and R&B. Friends swore that whenever he wasn't trapped under studio lights, he'd disappear into dim New York jazz clubs, lurking in the shadows, soaking up every note and every ounce of wisdom from veteran musicians who had no clue they were shaping the next generation.
There should be a moratorium on both of those words in hip hop because it's low-lying fruit. It's so easy. Everybody does it to the point that it's corny. Like there are MCs who I love, who I cannot listen to anymore because I love J. Cole, but I had to stop listening to J. Cole because I got tired of hearing and
as much
every 2 sentences because he's proven himself to be such a incredible lyricist
that you think it's just too low-hanging fruit for him to use those words.
Malcolm's teenage years were double lives in motion, ordinary Jersey kid by day, Hollywood star by night. But no matter how wild it got, one voice always cut through the noise, his mother Pamela, reminding him who he really was. Don't let the spotlight blind you. Remember who you are and where you come from. Those were Pamela's words, and they became Malcolm's armor against the traps that destroyed so many other child stars. Inside his newly uncovered archive, little treasures from those defining years told the story of a boy chasing dreams while clutching onto his roots. There was a snapshot of young Malcolm gripping a bass guitar nearly bigger than him, a fragile ticket stub from an Malcolm Jamal concert in 1982, one his mom proudly took him to. And most moving of all, a scribbled note Pamela had slipped to him before that life-changing audition in 1984. No matter the outcome, you've already made me proud. From a boy born in Jersey City in 1970 to walking into the Huxtable living room, Malcolm Jamal Warner became woven into millions of childhoods across America. Those early years weren't just preparation for fame, they were the blueprint for why he endured it. When the archive was finally unlocked decades later, it didn't just spark nostalgia, it brought people to tears worldwide. Fans realized just how much he had poured into culture and how deeply his presence shaped an entire generation. That foundation launched him into a career most teenage actors could only dream of. In 1984, Malcolm didn't just land a role, he walked headfirst into television history. The Cosby Show ran from September 20th, 1984 to April 30th, 1992. 8 full seasons, 197 episodes, and nearly constant domination of the Nielsen ratings. Viewers literally watched him grow up before their eyes, from the boy rocking oversized, colorful sweaters to the young man heading off to college. By the time the final episodes rolled out, Malcolm Jamal Warner was living in a strange paradox. 8 straight years as Theo Huxtable had given him everything: fame, steady checks, even that prized 1986 Emmy nomination, but it nearly boxed him in forever as nothing more than America's eldest son. And Warner wasn't about to let Hollywood lock him in a cage like that. Even while The Cosby Show was still running, he was already plotting his escape. He directed multiple episodes, proving he wasn't just a face in front of the camera. He hosted teen-centered specials and chased projects that looked nothing like the squeaky clean sitcom world. So when the curtain dropped in 1992, Malcolm didn't sit back and bathe in past glory. He hit the reset button hard and started carving out a brand new identity. By 1996, Warner roared back with his own sitcom on UPN, Malcolm and Eddie, co-starring the wild and unpredictable Eddie Griffin. Their chemistry lit up the screen, high energy, comedic chaos, and a whole new side of Warner the world had never seen. The show lasted 4 seasons, from 1996 to 2000, proving Malcolm wasn't just a relic of the Huxtable era. He had real comedic chops. Behind the camera, he directed episodes too, sharpening his eye for timing, rhythm, and everyday humor.
I met my wife through a mutual friend. I've never second-guessed it. We've been together almost 10 years, and we have never had a fight, an argument, a raised voice, or a harsh word said to one another.
In 10 years?
I was like, if I'm going to have a kid, this is the person that I would want to have it with. I talk about them because there are obviously the hugest parts of my life, the best parts of my life, the best decisions I've ever made.
But Warner was never the type to stay in one lane. As the 2000s rolled in, he pivoted into heavier territory. From the gritty sci-fi drama Jeremiah, 2002 to 2004, to the layered family series Read Between the Lines, 2011, and later Major Crimes, 2015. Step by step, he walked further out of Theo's long shadow, showing the industry just how versatile he really was. And through it all, his first love never left him: music. Since childhood, it was his escape, his fire, his heartbeat. With his band Miles Long, Malcolm picked up the bass, dropped jazz and spoken word albums, and lit up stages at countless shows. Acting may have made him famous, but music exposed his soul. In 2015, he shut down every doubter when he stepped on stage alongside Robert Glasper and Lala Hathaway. And the trio walked away with a Grammy for Best Traditional R&B Performance for their explosive track, Jesus Children. That moment proved once and for all, Malcolm wasn't just an actor dabbling in music. He was the real thing, respected and honored by the industry itself. But Warner's story didn't stall there. It only grew bigger. By 2018, he fully reinvented himself for a brand new audience, stepping into the role of Dr. A.J. Austin on Fox's hit medical drama, The Resident. His character? Brilliant, blunt, sometimes downright prickly, and absolutely nothing like Theo Huxtable. With every sharp line and commanding scene, Warner made it clear he had broken free of the box, building a fresh identity that resonated with an entirely new generation. And he didn't stop with acting or music. Warner flexed his creative muscles as a producer, director, and then pushed into the digital era with his own podcast, Not All Hood. By 2024, the show had turned into his personal megaphone, an unfiltered space where he broke down culture, society, and art with raw honesty and depth. Fans clung to every word, dissecting his takes like gospel. And then came July 18, 2025, the date of his very last podcast episode uploaded to Instagram. The final time Malcolm Jamal Warner's voice would be heard. Just 2 days before his tragic passing, what once seemed like another project in Malcolm Jamal Warner's portfolio turned into a living memorial. His final podcast upload became flooded with comments from across the globe. Fans, peers, and strangers alike mourning and revisiting his legacy in real time. And the numbers alone, they speak louder than words. Over 40 years in entertainment, more than 30 films and TV shows, dozens of episodes directed, spoken word and jazz albums released, a Grammy win, a career that crossed boundaries most actors never even touch. Warner wasn't just America's eldest son anymore. He had evolved into an artist who defended his integrity, constantly reinvented himself, and never lost respect for the audience that grew up watching him. Even his secret archive echoed that truth. Hidden inside were snapshots from Malcolm and Eddie, old film contracts, and even the original Grammy ticket from 2015. Together, these mementos didn't just feel nostalgic. They painted the story of a career dazzling, unpredictable, and packed with battles that Warner faced head-on. But what he left behind went deeper than memories. He left a blueprint, resilience, creativity, and reinvention carved into every move he ever made. The archive didn't just reveal his journey. It exposed the quiet empire Malcolm had been building all along. After more than 4 decades dedicated to the arts, Warner had stacked a fortune that stunned even longtime fans. By 2025, his net worth was estimated at around $6 million, an impressive figure for someone who started as a teenage sitcom star and managed to keep his career alive and thriving for decades without ever falling off. A big slice of Malcolm Jamal Warner's wealth came straight from television. At the height of The Cosby Show, his paycheck climbed season after season as the sitcom crushed Nielsen ratings. With 197 episodes airing between 1984 and 1992, it became one of the most profitable shows of its era, and Warner cashed in heavy. That steady income gave him the financial muscle to chase his own projects and take bold risks far beyond the Huxtable living room. And he didn't stop after The Cosby Show. Warner kept pulling in high-paying contracts with shows like Malcolm and Eddie, Read Between the Lines, and later The Resident. The cameras may have wrapped, but the money never stopped. Reruns and streaming royalties padded his accounts year after year like clockwork. Then came the music bag. With his band Miles Long, Warner dropped albums, packed out venues, and stacked checks from collabs with heavyweights like Robert Glasper and Lala Hathaway. That 2015 Grammy win, it didn't just cement his credibility, it skyrocketed the price tag of every single performance deal afterward. And the receipts were all there in his secret archive. Faded contracts, old studio pay stubs, even property papers. Warner owned a sleek home in Los Angeles and a quiet apartment back east, private sanctuaries where he could either recharge or grind in peace. But this story didn't end with personal comfort. Whispers swirled about Warner's quiet investments in indie films and grassroots arts programs, proof that he wasn't just stacking wealth for himself. He was planting seeds designed to outlive him, building something bigger, something meant to last. Malcolm Jamal Warner wasn't just earning, he was building. His fortune wasn't only about dollars in the bank, it was about strategy, discipline, and making sure his legacy stretched far beyond the screen. But what shocked people most wasn't the size of his wealth, it was how he handled it. Even with millions stacked, Warner never lived loud. No line of exotic cars in his driveway, no palatial mansions flashing across magazine spreads. Instead, he kept things modest. Quiet homes, simple routines, and an unshakable focus on family and craft. When fans caught a glimpse of his financial documents inside the archive, they were floored by just how restrained he really was. In a world where so many teenage stars crash and burn, Warner showed rare control. But buried deep inside those same papers was something far more personal and far more guarded. Tucked between contracts, property deeds, and royalty statements lay the outline of a life he had fought to keep hidden from Hollywood's glare, a secret wife, a child, a private world he had protected with everything he had. Piece by piece, the archive revealed a version of Malcolm fans never saw coming. Alongside yellowed film contracts, scribbled music notes, and candid behind-the-scenes snapshots sat one undeniable truth. Warner had mastered the art of balance. He gave the world only what it needed to keep his career alive for over 4 decades, while fiercely guarding the rest, his family, his emotions, and the toll of living under relentless pressure. These weren't secrets for scandal's sake, they were values. Malcolm lived by them, protecting his loved ones, preserving his peace, and refusing to let Hollywood's spotlight twist his reality. And at the heart of that silence was a revelation no one ever expected. In 2015, through a mutual friend, Warner met a Connecticut lawyer. No staged Hollywood setup, no celebrity matchmaking, just 2 people who started as friends and slowly slipped into something deeper. In one rare, unguarded moment on his podcast, Hot and Bothered, Warner admitted, "I laid it all out, told her everything. One day, he finally popped the question, 'What do you think about getting married?' Her answer ended every doubt. He had found the one. By 2016 or 2017, the 2 quietly exchanged vows. No media circus, no glossy spreads, not even a whisper on social media. This wasn't secrecy for drama. It was sacred, a promise to shield his family from Hollywood's glare. Then came July 2nd, 2017, the day his life changed forever. Their daughter was born, and for once, Malcolm broke his silence. He posted a simple black and white photo, cradling his newborn, with the caption, "Peaceful time with family takes on a whole new meaning." It was one of the rarest glimpses the public ever got of his private world, stripped of fame, but overflowing with meaning. From that day forward, family talk stayed at a whisper, a few casual mentions of weekends at home, a quiet note about teaching his daughter through example, a warm dinner here and there, but never a name, never a face. For a man who had lived under the camera's glare since stepping into Theo Huxtable's shoes at just 13 years old in 1984, that deliberate silence was his ultimate act of protection. Before Malcolm found real peace in private, his love life had once been wide open under Hollywood's blinding spotlight. His most famous romance? Michelle Thomas, his Cosby Show co-star who played Justine Phillips. The two dated from 1988 into the early 1990s. Even after the romance ended, their bond didn't. It transformed into one of the most tender and enduring friendships of his life. When Michelle Thomas tragically lost her battle with stomach cancer in 1998, Malcolm never left her side. He was there until her very last breath. A moment that left a scar he carried for years. In 2015, decades later, he posted a haunting Instagram tribute. If there was ever an angel who walked amongst us, mere mortals, this woman was it. Those weren't just nostalgic words. They revealed how deeply he still loved and respected her long after she was gone. After Michelle, his longest relationship came with another Cosby Show co-star, Karen Molina White. From 2000 to 2007, the two were inseparable. Marriage rumors swirled nonstop, tabloids running wild, but Karen shut them all down, calling it simply a long, solid relationship without paperwork or fanfare. Still, 7 years together was no small chapter in Malcolm's story. Then came what many thought would finally be the fairy tale ending. In 2011, Malcolm began dating Oscar-winning actress Regina King, a woman he had known since the 1980s. Their chemistry was undeniable, and for a while, they were considered one of Hollywood's golden couples. But shockwaves hit on Valentine's Day 2013 when it all suddenly collapsed. Regina admitted she was completely blindsided, and later, Malcolm sent flowers with a note that read, "I still love you, Regina." A romantic gesture, yes, but also proof that even in heartbreak, the scars of love ran deep for him. She didn't hesitate. Regina tossed those flowers straight into the trash, and Warner, he stayed silent. No messy explanations, no public sparring, nothing for the tabloids to chew on. To outsiders, that silence may have looked cold, but looking back, it was part of his pattern, ending relationships with dignity, never letting love turn into spectacle. But behind closed doors, romance wasn't the only battle he was fighting. Professionally, Warner was wrestling with something even heavier. He once admitted there was a time he hated playing Theo, not because of the role itself, but because of the fear it would trap him forever. The Cosby Show ran for 197 episodes between 1984 and 1992, turning him into America's Big Brother, but casting a giant shadow over the rest of his career. His solution? Reinvention. Instead of complaining, Warner put in the work. He directed episodes of Cosby, starred in Malcolm and Eddie from 1996 to 2000, and later smashed expectations with dramatic turns in Read Between the Lines, Major Crimes, and most notably as Dr. A.J. Austin on The Resident. By 2018, Warner had proven beyond a doubt that he could still captivate audiences decades after Theo Huxtable. But then came a shockwave from the outside, the Bill Cosby scandal. Practically overnight, the once wholesome Huxtable family image crumbled in the public eye. Warner had nothing to do with the controversy, yet the fallout cast an unwanted shadow over him too. It's heartbreaking to see something once so pure in people's hearts become tarnished, he admitted. And true to form, Warner didn't lash out. He didn't stage interviews or chase headlines. He chose silence once again, pouring his energy into his craft and letting his art speak louder than words. Music, Malcolm's lifelong parallel passion, became both his outlet and his shield. With a bass guitar in hand, he built his band miles long, dropped albums and hit stages across the country. In 2015, he teamed up with Robert Glasper and Lala Hathaway, winning a Grammy for Jesus Children. That wasn't just a career highlight. It was proof he wasn't some TV star dabbling in music. He was a real artist, respected and celebrated by his peers. But under the crushing weight of fame and constant public scrutiny, Warner built his own defense system. First, he controlled his story. Every interview stayed locked on his craft, never the messy corners of his private life. When he did mention his wife and daughter, it was in the simplest terms: my wife, my daughter. Values, not headlines. Second, he drew hard boundaries. Even at the height of the Resident's production chaos, weekends were sacred family time. Hollywood parties, red carpets, unnecessary appearances off the table. And third, he seized his own voice. In 2024, he launched his podcast, Not All Hood, where he finally spoke on culture, society, and art. Raw, unfiltered, and free from media spin. Fans clung to every word, feeling like they were hearing Malcolm in his purest form. But then came the twist no one was ready for. On July 18, 2025, he dropped a brand new podcast episode on Instagram. 2 days later, July 20th, tragedy struck. Malcolm Jamal Warner drowned at Playa Coco Beach in Costa Rica. He was just 54 years old, gone far too soon. What was supposed to be a peaceful family vacation turned into a shocking tragedy that left the world in disbelief. What began as a joyful moment with his daughter turned into pure horror in seconds. While enjoying the water, a deadly rip current ripped fun into terror. His little girl was pulled back to safety in time, but Warner was dragged further and further away, swallowed by the sea before help could ever reach him. His death came suddenly, brutally, leaving fans stunned and those closest to him shattered. When the curtain of his privacy finally fell for good, the truth became crystal clear. Malcolm's silence was never about creating mystery. It was about protection. He shielded his family from the circus of fame, honored his past loves with quiet respect, and carved out rare spaces where he could breathe in an industry that suffocates most stars. That's why the treasures in his secret archive cut so deep: handwritten letters to his wife, tender family photos, even scribbled notes with reminders like, protect what matters most, and don't let the spotlight blind you. These weren't just scraps of memory, they were a blueprint of how he lived, loving fiercely, guarding privately, always choosing quiet over chaos. Then came the devastating morning of July 20th, 2025. The official report from Costa Rica's National Police confirmed the nightmare. Warner was vacationing with his wife and daughter in the country's Caribbean region when they visited Playa Cocos, a beach celebrated for beauty but infamous for its deadly rip currents. Witnesses swore the weather looked perfect: clear skies, calm waves, nothing hinting at the danger lurking beneath. Warner waded into the water with his daughter, staying close to shore, when suddenly the rip current yanked them both out. Locals and lifeguards rushed in desperately. His daughter was saved, but Warner was pulled farther and farther into open water, vanishing before the crowd's horrified eyes. By the time rescuers dragged Malcolm back to shore, it was already too late. His heart had stopped. Medical teams fought desperately, pounding CPR on the beach and again inside the ambulance, but nothing worked. The coroner's report later confirmed the cause: drowning due to asphyxiation. No strange injuries, no foul play, nothing unusual, just water, silence, and finality. A family source later revealed that Warner went quickly, without suffering, the only sliver of comfort in a storm of unbearable shock. But even with Costa Rican officials giving clear statements, the questions wouldn't stop. Fans couldn't shake the disbelief. How could Malcolm, once an athlete in his youth, still disciplined in his lifestyle, lose to a rip current so easily? The doubts grew louder. Just 48 hours earlier, he had been vibrant, posting about the future of his podcast, full of energy and purpose. Then suddenly, gone? Whispers swirled, and speculation exploded online. Some suggested maybe he had an undiagnosed health issue that weakened him in the water. Others went darker, linking his sudden death to the suspicious timing of his secret archive finally being opened. Was it pure coincidence, or was Malcolm guarding something much bigger than anyone realized? Theories spread fast, twisting tragedy into suspicion, fueling forums and conspiracy chatter. But his family and closest friends weren't having it. They shut those rumors down instantly. His mother, Pamela Warner, released a sharp statement, blasting the theories as baseless and cruel. "My son passed away in an unexpected accident," she declared, determined to protect his memory and put the whispers to rest. There was no crime scene, no foul play, just grief that ripped through everyone left behind. And yet, the unease lingered. 3 details kept circling in people's minds: the shocking swiftness of his death, the immediate unlocking of his secret archive, and the way Malcolm had always lived: quiet, guarded, fiercely private. Put together, it didn't scream conspiracy, but it created something haunting. Not a mystery of evidence, but a mystery of emotion. How could a man so full of life, with fresh projects on the horizon, vanish in mere minutes beneath the waves? That unanswered question hung heavy as his family laid him to rest. A private funeral was held in the U.S. just a week later, quiet, closed off, attended only by relatives and a small circle of friends. No press, no flashing cameras, no glossy magazine spreads, just silence, tears, and unbearable loss. Every tribute painted the same portrait: Malcolm as a man of warmth, a man devoted to his family, and a professional who never stopped pushing forward no matter how crushing the weight of Hollywood's demands. Meanwhile, his social media turned into digital shrines, hundreds of thousands of fans flooding timelines with memories, grief, and heartbreak, transforming his feed into a wall of goodbyes. But just when it seemed the mourning had begun to settle, the archive resurfaced, and with it, a brand new storm. Family letters, unreleased photos, and raw personal notes cracked open the private world he had fought to shield for decades. These revelations didn't just tug on heartstrings, they lit the fuse for an explosion of conspiracy theories, twisting love and loss into a narrative Malcolm himself had spent his entire life trying to escape. Almost overnight, the online conversation flipped. Grief and loss twisted into wild speculation. The detail that Warner's secret archive was unlocked immediately after the funeral became fuel for restless minds, and soon YouTube channels, Reddit threads, and pop culture podcasts ran wild with theories, each one messier than the last. Some swore the archive contained explosive truths about the Cosby Show, secrets tied to the years before and after Bill Cosby's scandal blew wide open. They latched onto Warner's own haunting words when he admitted how heartbroken he felt watching the Huxtable image crumble. Maybe, they argued, Malcolm had kept hidden accounts that could shake Hollywood if they were ever revealed. Another wave of speculation zoomed in on his private life. The marriage kept off the radar, the wife and child never seen. Fans and gossip outlets fueled the frenzy, imagining the archive packed with family photos, secret letters, or shocking details that could rewrite everything the public thought they knew about him. Some tabloid-style sites even claimed to have proof, publishing grainy, leaked photos and blurry scans of supposed documents. But when investigators chased down the sources, nothing credible could be verified. It was all smoke, no fire. And then came the wildest theories, ones that sounded like they belonged in a Hollywood thriller. Whispers spread that Warner had been preparing to drop a memoir or even a documentary that would blow the lid off the darker side of the entertainment industry. The idea that he might have been holding back a bombshell only added more mystery to an already heartbreaking story. His death, many argued, was just too coincidental to ignore. Fans pointed to his podcast, Not All Hood, launched in 2024, where in recent episodes he had hinted at untold stories he was finally ready to share. Was the timing just cruel luck, or was he silenced before he could ever speak? But here's where the narrative slams into a wall. 2 undeniable facts crushed most of the theories. First, the official coroner's report out of Costa Rica was crystal clear. Warner drowned from asphyxiation. No bruises, no toxins, no foul play, just a tragic accident. Second, his family, especially his mother Pamela, shut the rumors down again and again, calling them painful distractions from their grief. "There is no hidden truth about my son's death," she insisted, refusing to let speculation stain his memory. Even top journalists weighed in. Trusted outlets like People, AP News, and Variety confirmed what the archive actually held: a lifetime of keepsakes, family photos, handwritten notes, music sheets, contracts, behind-the-scenes snapshots from his most famous roles. Nothing explosive, no hidden bombshells, just memories. But in today's world, speculation spreads faster than facts. Reports tried to set the record straight, yet the wild theories always stuck harder. For millions who grew up watching The Cosby Show, Warner wasn't just an actor, he was stitched into their childhoods. And when someone that deeply tied to memory dies suddenly, clinging to conspiracies feels easier than facing the brutal truth of finality. In the end, the real mystery of Malcolm Jamal Warner wasn't locked in a secret archive or buried in some Hollywood scandal. It was in the way he lived. Quiet when he could have been loud. Protective when he could have been careless. Devoted when the world demanded distraction. That is the legacy he left behind. Quietly, independently, and fiercely protecting the people and values that mattered most. That's how Malcolm Jamal Warner lived, and that's how he left this world. No spectacle, no noise, just a man who poured everything into his craft while shielding his true treasures from the glare of the spotlight. Warner's legacy stretches far beyond Theo Huxtable. Bigger than Emmy nods, bigger than the Grammy win, bigger than any headline that ever carried his name. What he left behind was more than awards. It was a life message. Love deeply, live kindly, and protect what matters most, no matter the cost. From the dazzling stage lights that first introduced him to the world, to the quiet moments no camera ever captured, Malcolm proved something powerful. The most valuable things in life aren't the ones we put on display, they're the ones we fight to keep safe. Yes, his story may feel unfinished, full of questions that may never have answers, but maybe that's the point. Maybe his greatest lesson was that not everything has to be explained, dissected, or exposed. Sometimes the silence speaks louder than the noise ever could. And now we want to hear from you. What does Malcolm's story mean to you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep this conversation alive. Don't forget to hit subscribe, share this video, and smash that like button so more people can hear stories that matter.